In this video, I'm going to create a very basic color map and roughness map to be added onto this plane here in Blender. So whilst I'm in Blender, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the object selected, press new to add a new material. I'm going to just name it uh, floor mat. Where it says base color, I'm going to select the little yellow icon here and then go to image texture so I can add a image to this plane. So I'm going to just load in the tile texture. So even though I already have like all the different maps, we're gonna just mainly work in the color map here. Right. So I've got the base color map, but what if this is going to be used in an environment that's been abandoned for ages, or maybe it's like a post-apocalyptic setting, for instance, where it's not as clean as it is right now. This looks like it's in like a showroom, for instance. It doesn't really show any kind of wear and tear on the actual tiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some decals onto it here in Photoshop, and then also create the roughness map version as well. Now, ideally, when we're creating these texture maps, we're usually creating these textures in more advanced software, such as like say Substance Painter or Substance Designer, but you can use Photoshop as well. But more professional standards are more with Substance Painter and Designer. But there can be times where you will have to go into Photoshop to make adjustments as well. There's no just like one specific software that's used all the time for texturing. Sometimes it could be a mishmash of different things. So right now I've got a few different decals, some grunge elements here, some dirt specks, a footprint, and some more dirt here. Now I got this from Google Images, just searching up like say like a footprint PNG. So I do recommend just kind of searching the internet to find like PNG images for like use for like say decals for instance. But you can also use something called Adobe Stock. Now I think it's separate from the Creative Cloud, but you can log in using your college Creative Cloud account. And I do believe you can get access to a number of free images here. So, for instance, I put in Grime PNG. So there's quite a lot of images here that are transparent that I could use as decals for, say, texture maps and stuff. Or I could put this into like, say, Substance Painter or Substance Designer, for instance. So there's a lot of great sort of images here that could be used. So, for instance, I got this dirt texture here and a few others. So you can always pick and choose what could be useful for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this footprint. I want to get the impression that maybe someone has walked on this floor before, but I don't like the fact that it's just like fully black, so I might just change it slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just paint over it with like a very simple sort of darker brown sort of color to give the impression of say mud, for instance. So what I'm going to do is whilst I'm holding control and whilst I hover over the little viewport here next to the layer, you can see that my cursor has changed with like a little selection box next to it. So if I click the left mouse button, what that does is it selects everything that's in that layer. So everything is selected here. So I can go to my brush tool, for instance. I can increase and decrease the size using the square brackets. So right now, obviously, because I have just the elements in the layer selected, I can't draw any of the empty spaces. I can only draw what's selected. So I'm going to quickly just go in and just make this brown. And go select, deselect. I'm going to go back to the move tool here. And I want to bring this over into my base color map. And it's pretty simple to do. If I just click and hold the left mouse button, I can move it across. If I go over to the tab that I want, whilst I'm still holding the left mouse button, I'm going to click and drag into the center. You can see that the cursor has the plus button. So if I let go, it has now brought over the footprint. Now this footprint is way too big. It's like the BFG has just like walked in this scene right now. So I need to scale this down. So I can use Control and T, and this will bring up the scaling tool. Now, if I scale it down right now, you can see that I can kind of scale it in all the different axes, so like left and right, for instance, and up and down. So which does kind of squash the image. But if I want to keep the size consistent, if I hold on Shift, you'll see now that the aspect ratio of that image has locked into place. But I can scale it up and down without it kind of squashing or deforming incorrectly. So I'm going to bring it down to like say here, and let go of all the keys, and then press Enter to lock that into place, and be like, "Yep, I'm happy with that." But right now, it just looks like it's just a person with 1 foot. 1 foot. Uh, so I need to duplicate it across. Now I could go to the layer, right mouse click, then duplicate layer, and that obviously creates a copy. But that's quite time consuming. And a very quick and easy way to do it is if you hold down Alt, and you can see right now the cursor has changed. You can see that it's like a double cursor situation right now. If I click and drag, it instantly creates a copy for me to use. So I can just click and drag, and it will just create a copy. So I'm just going to select these two and just move them up a little bit. That looks a bit more natural. Um, what I can do as well is if I hold Control, I can select multiple different uh, layers as well in the scene if I want to move like certain things around. So if I want to move these three around, I can do that. If I hold Shift and then the bottom layer, it will select everything in between. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to merge these together. So I've got all those selected and then merge layers. And I might just duplicate it one more time and just put it over there. Just move it down like so. It's not perfect, but it's just kind of do a quick example. And I might just fade it out a little bit, so slightly, something like that, for instance. I wonder if I play around with the image adjustments, maybe that could also make a bit of a difference as well. That could be okay. So now I'm going to add a bit more dirt to it. Again, it still looks too clean. So I've got a few different assets that I can use. I'm just going to click and drag this over again. Just bring it into the scene. It is pretty big, so I might just scale it down so slightly. Something like this, for instance. I might just duplicate it as well. Image, and then transform, maybe I'll flip it vertically as well. I don't want it to look too uniform, which at the moment it does have that kind of look to it. Horizontal, maybe. Yeah, and I'm going to just merge those together. I can also rename layers as well, so I'm going to call this dirt. I can rename this to say footprints, and then I can keep that as layer 0 for now. So yeah, I think I'm really happy with this for now. I might try to get maybe a bit of grime in here. So what I might do is I might select like a bit of this green here to use. So I can select like say like the magic wand tool. Maybe select like this area here that I want to bring over. Don't want too much of that. That could be fine for now. You can increase and decrease the tolerance, or the more the less tolerance, like it'll select more elements of an image. But you can also use like say the quick selection tool as well, so it will select areas of an image that you can then kind of click and drag across as well. So I could just take all that actually. Go back to the move tool, and like before, I can click and drag, and then just bring it over here into the scene. Now I could scale this up, but do bear in mind that if you are scaling images up, it's gonna lose that image quality. It's gonna look blurry. So it's usually better if you have like a larger image and you can scale it down, so it won't lose too much of its quality. But as you can see, if I scale this up, it's not gonna look good. It's gonna look very sort of blurry. So it's not the best thing to do at times. So I'm just gonna maybe just move some of these around a little bit here and there. Again, this is not perfect. It's just a quick example of just me creating like a simple uh, color map. So let's just say I'm happy with this, and be like, right, okay, that's my image done. So if I want to export this out, I can go to File, Export. If you go Export As, you can then change the image format. So you can change it to, like I said, like a PNG, a JPEG, GIF, etc. So I'm just going to keep it as a JPEG for now, and then just go to Export All. I'm just going to call this V2. Okay, that's exported out. So I'm just going to go back into Blender and then just load up that version of the texture that I have created. But now I still need to get the roughness map in there. So let's go back to Photoshop. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a group. So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this color. I just put all these assets into there. And I'm going to create a duplicate of this group here. And I'm going to call it roughness. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to start with the tiles here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image, adjustments, black and white. I think it's already a black and white image, so we shouldn't have to worry about too much. But what I can do instead is go to image, adjustments, and then I'm going to invert it because I do want the tiles to be somewhat smooth. And then obviously the grout is going to be very, very rough. So I could make changes here as well. So I can go to say brightness and contrast. I'm going to make the could make it a little bit brighter, increase the or decrease the contrast actually to kind of make the grout stand out a little bit more. So I could use something like this, for instance, and then I'll start working on the footprints as well. So this one, I know that I want this to be white. So I'm going to just invert that. Just going to make sure it's black and white as well. Brightness and contrast, so I could increase the contrast there as well. Same with the dirt. We can't really see the dirt at the moment. It is kind of very small. So if I go to invert, yep, that'll pop up quite nicely. I could just leave that as is actually. I think that works quite well. And I could do the same for the mold as well. So I'm going to make that black and white. Maybe make some adjustments to the contrast, for instance. And then once I'm happy with that, I can just go to File, Export, Export as, and I'll call this roughness. I'll call it version 3. Now all I got to do then is in Blender, I'm going to go to shading. I'm going to add texture, image texture, connect color to roughness, press open, load up the image texture. And then lastly, I'm just going to make sure that I've changed the color space to a non-color. So now we should have a little bit of roughness kind of showing through there. So I do encourage you to kind of play around and experiment. Obviously, like that was like a very rushed version, but play around with like, the tiles, put your own kind of decals, roughness, create your own there, and also try to do the same with the metal flooring as well.